The last 24 hours have been some of the busiest in news that I can remember for a very long time, starting with the release of the whistleblower complaint that is at the heart of the reason why there is now an impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump starting in the House of Representatives. This is the whistleblower complaint that made the original allegations that Donald Trump was withholding hundreds of millions of dollars in aid from Ukraine if and until such time that Ukraine smears Joe Biden for the benefit of Donald Trump in the 2020 election on the presumption that Joe Biden is likely to be, at least according to Trump, his challenger in the 2020 election. We have seen suppression of the whistleblower report. We have seen a, quote, transcript that is actually a summary, which we will talk about. We have seen the impeachment inquiry get going. So all of this stuff stems from the whistleblower complaint that started it all. It has been released, and it is absolutely devastating to Donald Trump and completely justifies that there is now an impeachment inquiry. Whether the impeachment inquiry is being handled correctly by Democrats is a different question, which I'll get to later in the show. Preview. My thought is Democrats are already blowing the impeachment inquiry, but we will get to that. What is in the whistleblower complaint? The summary of it, the key points as I read them are, number one, the whistleblower says Donald Trump is using the office of the presidency to solicit interference from foreign powers to help him win 2020 with the involvement of both Rudy Giuliani, his personal attorney, and Attorney General William Barr. The complaint is based on the reports of more than 6 U.S. officials speaking to the whistleblower, who, as of right this second, is still maintaining anonymity. And we will see if by the time you hear this, the whistleblower has not been named. I fear for the whistleblower's life if they are no longer anonymous. The details in the whistleblower report about the Ukraine call are basically as we already know them. I mean, that's not a surprise. That's the part that was widely reported earlier this week. We've been talking about it all week. It was partially the catalyst for the impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump, and nothing surprising in the whistleblower complaint about the content of the call. It coincides perfectly with what's been reported all week long. White House officials, according to this report, already knew what was going on with Ukraine before the phone call took place, and they were immediately working after the phone call on various methods to cover up the content of the call, some of which we have since learned about, some of which involve different email servers. Shockingly, I thought it was Hillary that we had to worry about. The whistleblower says that about a dozen different people listened to the phone call in question on July 25th between Donald Trump and the Ukrainian president. The records of the call were immediately, quote, locked down, according to the whistleblower, including the actual transcript, which exists to this report. This is important to understand. Donald Trump ultimately released a summary of the call, not a transcript of the call, which we will get to. The actual transcript does exist, and this, of course, suggests that they knew all along the importance of covering up the actual full records of what was said during the phone call. White House lawyers reportedly went to White House officials and said, remove the electronic transcript and put it onto a different computer system. That allegedly took place, and we are going to talk about that more in detail as well. The whistleblower complaint also says that Rudy Giuliani has been traveling all over the world to meet with different Ukrainians, including, for example, going to Spain to meet with advisor to the Ukrainian president, Andriy Yermak. It's hard to actually tell. The MN looks a little hard to tell what it is when you look at the PDF of the complaint. So what have we learned additionally from the whistleblower complaint? We've learned about the moving of the electronic records to different servers, which I'll get into detail next. We've learned that William Barr needs to be completely separated from every proceeding that is even remotely related to this, because he is named as one of the players in this attempted 2020 interference involving Ukraine. He has to recuse himself, and it is stunning that yet another of Donald Trump's attorney generals should recuse themselves from one of the most important stories involving the actions of the president. And unfortunately, William Barr is involved in a lot of this stuff because he heads up the Justice Department. So he should immediately recuse himself. Will he? I have no idea. And of course, the obvious conclusion from reading the whistleblower complaint is that even 15% of the report is accurate, the impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump is 110% warranted. So now let's get into detail about the separate computer system to which the whistleblower alleges records of the July 25 phone call between Trump and the Ukrainian president were moved.